Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with another free premium deck profile with the support from V-Clan Collection Volume 5 and 6. And this time we're covering Kagero. So if you see the thumbnail, you know the deck build is focusing on our Overlord The Rebirth. So it's a new Overlord that we get in free premium. But of course it's an old friend if you play like in a very old time in the limited break era. So it still involves of locking cards and basically locking your whole board to swing for 3 times. But in re-premium things are actually a little bit different, and have to say my build will not be the one that you usually see, like involving the cross, involving the end. I'm not using any of those. Of course, those cards are good. Those cards are proven good, and it's probably a more optimal build going for like tournaments and such. Because if you get the cross, you basically get every single Overlord skill that you want to access to. But in this deck, my focus is on getting Rebirth to work, getting Rebirth to do a lot of his own things. Because if we are playing the cross, it is the cross deck, to be honest. And to me, it's like making content for Kagero deck is not that fun. Some decks, yes, like if the cross is just released, then of course we are going to feature him. But when this time we are featuring Rebirth, I choose not to use the end, the cross, and basically that's why. So if anyone just comment down below and say why don't you use the cross and the end, then that's my answer. And I will link them back to like just check my early part talking about this. Right, so without further ado, let's quickly go into the deck profile. Starter, you just use anything you want. So far I still love my Endu foil version because I don't have like the Vanguard fast version, so I'm still using that one, but it's fine, it's totally fine. And then I am running 4 of the Rebirth, and Rebirth of course is our key for the deck. And let's talk about his skill. First one is a Vanguard Circle skill. At the start of your battle phase, lock 1 or more of your regards, and for the turn, this unit, the next attack battle ends, you can counterblast 1, discard 1 card, and stand this unit. So this is the first skill that you basically will work first, because it's a restand skill and locking all your cards, and then you need to just do more when you have locked the cards. The second skill is also a Vanguard skill. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, you can still blast 1, and for each 2 of your lock cards, you can retire 1 of your opponent's units. So you don't always need to rely on your counterblast to retire your opponent's units, and now you can actually get to use a Soul Blast and do the job, which is quite important because you will restand at least once, so you will be able to use this skill actually twice because it's not once per turn. And if say you lock 5 cards, then you can just pop 2, restand, pop 2, so you are already killing 4 units. That's sometimes it's just going to ruin your opponent's plan by wiping the whole board, which is something that in the past we don't have with Rebirth. That we only lock our whole board, restand, and just that. But now we have some removal as well. Lastly, a once per turn skill, and when this unit attack battle ends, if you have 5 or more lock cards, and if you have 4 or more damage, you can discard 2 cards, stand this unit, and gain a force marker. So, usually you are swinging base with 23k, right? And if you just get another force, then you are swinging for 33k. And this is a good skill because gaining force, meaning you will be able to bypass at least 1 trigger. Because if you swing, your opponents get the trigger, of course, just fit. You swing, they get another trigger, then you won't be hitting. But now you gain a force marker and you're still hitting them. So they still need to give you shield if they don't want to take the damage, and that's what you want. Because when we play Restand Overlord, what we want to do is your opponents to keep guarding, keep guarding, keep guarding, keep guarding until they have nothing left, right? Or unless you just triggering, and just keep punching harder, and harder, right? So that's basically what you want to do. But since this card locks the whole board and gaining forces, that means you will, at least in my opinion, 99% you will be on force 1. You won't be on force 2, because force 2 will only keep your crit into 2 instead of +1. So no matter how many force 2 you get, your crit is only 2 and you won't gain any power. So force 1 is the way to go. Right. So we have talked about Rebirth, and next card I'm using is Dolar's Drive. Because if we are not using the cross, we are not using the ends, we want to utilize the end further, then Dolar's Drive is our way to go. Because he not only he will resend himself, he gain power. He can give power to friendly units if you drive check 2 normal units, and he can restand by dropping 3 cards if you have 4 or more, and by riding on top by another Vanguard, you can give all those auto effects, which is the power, the 10k power plus to a regard, and also the restanding skill to the unit that you run on top, which will be the end. And oh no, the rebirth, not the end. I'm sorry, rebirth. So that also means that your rebirth can actually stand 3 times and attacking for 4 times, ideally. And usually by that, your opponent should be like basically gone, or they just don't have more resources to live, unless you didn't try to push them early. They are like at 0 damage and you swing 4 times, you pop, and you have no triggers, then they just take 4 damage and that's it. But usually with so many drive checks, if you really that bad luck, then that's fine, just let it be, right? So having Dolar's Drive in here is also a good early push, because he only needs your hand to be 4 or more to restand, and you need discovery. So your hand size won't be big, but you get to restand and be scary. And I always tell people with Dolar's Drive, of course, the restanding skill is important, but you don't need to just recklessly drop your hand to just for the restand. If you don't see the time split, don't use it. It's okay, because as long as Dolar's Drive is zero Vanguard or being right on top, you can still have the chance to restand. So don't force yourself, and just depending on the situation and play the cards correctly. And then 2 of the Dauntless Stormy Dragon reverse. So this is turning the deck a little bit more towards reverse focus. And since I'm running Dauntless Drive, I'm running the Rebirth, I'm also thinking of what other grade 3s that I probably can use. And the first thing that popped in my mind is basically this. Because this card also locks your own board. You won't gain advantage from it, because you put them down, they will get retired. So those cards won't be staying on the field, but you get to pop your opponent's regard, so you can do a wider board wipe, because it generates cards out of somewhere instead of your hand. So you don't need to like struggle to get units to lock. That's how I see the card is. And this card can also can help you out to wipe out markers. I think sometimes with some decks that's really important, because if your opponents get too many markers and you can't deal with them, you always want to find a way to do it. And maybe sometimes Rebirth is not going to help you out because you don't have a big hand, right? But With this, you get to keep drive checking stuff, keep locking cards and getting the board, and then just wipe your opponent's board. So I think it's also a good option to go for. Give it a try and see if you like it or not. Okay, and next I am running the Doha and then the Garen package, which is basically still the best deck squeezing card to use in Kagero. Even though we don't use Blade Master that much anymore, but this package, just by counterblasting one, get you another regard to form a good line, is just valuable. I'm only running 3 of the Garen because I don't have much space, but that should be good enough. Because we only will be using Doha for like once or twice, and that should be enough. Also, this pair can get you a little bit of guard restrictions, so also help you push early game, which is very nice. And then 3 of the Burnout. This is a card that I actually did not think of using early, but then I just noticed one thing about this card with his skill. So let's talk about his skill first. So his skill is a active skill once per turn. Counterblast 1, put a grade 2 or higher unit or card from your drop zone to the bottom of the deck and retire one of your opponent's regard. The retire part is not what important. The important part is you can put a grade 2 or higher from drop zone back to your deck, meaning you can actually return your Heal Guardian. So far, that works. Maybe in the future, they might fix it if they find it like too broken or whatever. But having a chance to put a heal back to your bottom and then shuffle your deck with a Doha by calling another unit, I think that's good enough, right? So that's basically his uses. Of course, you can just recycle like your Dolar Drive or your Doha if you still have Garen in the deck. Like a lot of things you can just recycle, which is a good card to use. And I'm not using the other Drake cannon that limiting if your hand size is like 4 or less, you draw one, and doing like kind of the same recycling stuff, because I'm not running the cross, so you don't also see me run all the cross support to like search for the cross, because I don't have it. I'm not running those in the deck, and my hand size might actually be greater than 4 because I don't have the cross to actually kill off the hand size limit stuff. So I don't see a need to use them, and Burnout is also helping me with the job, but doing it differently. And then 2 of the Brick Blaze, Brick Breath, I think. So this card is a kind of a free draw if you kind of having your opponent's regards retired by attacking, by skill. There's a lot of things you can do, and it's doing it. You just pop it and draw one for free. That's good because you don't want to use a lot of counter blast, you don't want to use a lot of soul blast, and if you ride on top this card, you can get it free, retire. Even if you can't retire, you still get a draw one. So just something free, something easy to use, and you can recycle if you burn out. So I don't think it's a bad card to use at all. But if you really want to switch this card, you can just put back the Drake cannon if you really want to. But just play it carefully because your hand size will likely be always higher than 4. So yeah, unless you're guarding really hard. Okay, and then 2 of the Lava Flow for Great Researcher, because we do want to get into these pieces early, or maybe sometimes we want to search for these, or even just picking up a Heal Guardian so you can survive early game. It's really important, and he's quite easy to get the 5k plus, so hitting 13k, basically the key numbers for Great Freeze, I think that's good enough. And then 2 of the Dragonites, because he can also be a Great Researcher, if he's on Vanguard Circle being on ride, and he can kind of retire stuff, but we have better options. So he's more on coming in the first hand ride as a great one, and then try to search grade 3 afterwards. That's basically it. And then for the Steel Dragons, because it's a good card for another retire, and like kind of baiting your opponents to drop more cards, because if not you will draw 2, or even just trying to keep getting the draw 2 so you can just keep getting to your hand, you get more hand size, you get more resources to use, is always welcome. And then 3 of the Elmo for counter charge mainly. The 3k plus I seriously don't care that much right now. The counter charge is what more important, because I do want to have all my skills usable, and that's also why I'm running Dolar Strike, because I don't only need to draw 3 cards to withstand, I don't need to counter blast, I don't need to soul blast. So the counter blast need to be prepared for cards that I really need to use the skill, mainly for also the Rebirth, because if not, I cannot do anything with that card, right? So, triggers. Now, he is 4 crits, and his 2 more crits coming 6 crits, and then 4 draw PGs, 2 normal draws, and 4 heal guardians. So it's a very common 6-6-4 ratio that I play with Kagero. If you really want to do 7-5, you can do that as well. I am not against it, but I always like a little bit more draws, because I'm always ditching cards for something else. Even with the Steel Dragons, I still need to drop 1, so having a 5k that I can just simply drop is always welcome. And more draws, meaning even going defensive, if we get a draw, sometimes it just turns things around. So I still like this ratio, and still works for me. That's why I'm coming with this ratio. So it's more personal preference. Again, as I always say on triggers, if you really want an 8-4, you can go with 8-4. If you want 7-5, you can do 7-5. But so far, it's still mainly based on crits, draw, and heal. Right. So yeah, that's basically I need to tell about this deck, because you don't need to think too much with the deck. If you are on Rebirth, you don't care about regards, you just get a whole board and do your stuff. If you're going for Dolar Strike, you just make sure you have enough hands to drop, or just look carefully your hand, your opponent's damage, their opponent's Vanguard power, is it worth to do a restand. If you do want to do some board wipe and markers wipe, you can go with Dominant Dragon Reverse, and then the rest of the stuff. Just simple calling, simple retiring and recycle, retiring, researcher, being search, right on top, retire, counter charge. Yeah, the deck is quite simple as always. Of course it's not cheap, but the way to play the deck is always simple. And I see so many games, no matter it's this build or the cross build, is still kind of relying on how well you get triggers or how well you push the power line. So your opponents need to give you a lot of cards to actually guard for, right? And I even see people doing 12 crits, like using 8 normal crits and then turning the PG crits to 30k shield crits. That works too, but I personally don't go for this extreme, but maybe I will just give that a try as well with this list. Maybe it works too. So do stay tuned. I will be doing deck 5 with this deck, but I think it's quite easy to actually put this deck profile out while being different to the cross build. So this is the second one that I put up, and there will be more when I test more of them, and once they're ready you will see them. Yeah, so like this video if you like the deck, the idea, and then share with your friends. subscribe to the channel so you can see more different deck profiles, and then comments down below, let me know your thoughts. Maybe you are really the cross build lover, feel free to express that. Just don't be negative or something, because we don't like negative comments that much. And then yeah, just share your thoughts, give it a try and see what you think about it, and we can discuss further. Yeah, so that's all for me today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.